A boy I met online asked me out for Valentine's Day. We came to an amusement park. There were couples all around us. Guys were giving their girlfriends gorgeous bouquets and toys. I wanted that too. After all, I was a romantic and I wanted to feel like a princess. However, my date came empty-handed. When he realized I was disappointed, he plucked a flower from a flower bed we were passing by. Can you imagine? Then, he bought us 2 cotton candies, but ate both of them himself. And the cherry on top was that I got motion sickness on the carousel and threw up on me. Ugh, that clown ran away without even apologizing. Hi, I'm Michelle, and I hate Valentine's Day. All my classmates always got a bunch of Valentines, especially Barbara. All the boys were crazy about her. No one had ever confessed to me. I had been head over heels in love with a boy called Henry since elementary school, but he never noticed me. So one day, I bought a lot of Valentines, signed them, and sent them to myself. Everyone was lost for words, and I felt like a queen. But then, one of my classmates noticed that all the Valentines were written in the same handwriting. Oops, I hadn't thought that through. Everyone burst out laughing, and I felt so humiliated that I tore up the hearts and ran home. The next year, I went on the terrible date that I told you about in the beginning. After that, I gave up on romance. So, the year after that, I decided not to do anything special on Valentine's Day. I hid the secret diary in which I wrote down my dreams of perfect dates, and I started an anti-romantic club. I used the school's group chat to invite everyone interested to the library. I was sure no one would come because love was in the air. Ugh. While everyone was getting ready for dates, I decided to get the romantic nonsense out of my head and do something useful. I had always dreamed of trying yoga. I turned on a YouTube video for beginners and I got started. Here we go. Leg goes here, arm goes there. Oh, it surprised me how hard it was. I got into a twisted pose and I fell over. I just could not untangle my limbs. Hey, quit laughing at me. I was a beginner. Oh, but the worst thing was at that moment, a little devil in shorts opened the door to my room. That's what I called my younger brother, Kevin. He was a walking disaster. Kevin kept ruining my life. He was completely out of control. Say hello to my subscribers on TikTok. Ugh. He filmed me lying there in a ridiculous pose and ran away. I'd had it with him. I got to my feet and went to my mom and dad's room to complain about my brother. However, when I found them, they were fighting again. Mom and Dad had been doing that a lot lately, and they completely stopped paying attention to either me or Kevin. Michelle, your dad and I are having a serious conversation. Deal with your problems yourself. I closed the doors to their room, and I heard plates being broken behind it. Our family was breaking too. How was I supposed to believe in love after all that? I didn't want to listen to my parents fight, so I mostly stayed in the library after classes. I was still the only member of the anti-romantic club. One day, I headed to the library as usual, and I saw several of my classmates there. They wanted to join my club and boycott the upcoming Valentine's Day. I saw Barbara, an eccentric guy from the school orchestra called Chad, and it couldn't be. Henry? We saw your message in the chat and decided to join your club. Is that allowed? Of course! There's enough room for everyone. Then there was an awkward pause. But soon, Miss Anderson, our housekeeping teacher, timidly walked in. Guys, mind if I join you? I brought cookies. Everyone hesitantly nodded. None of us really knew each other, so the conversation wasn't exactly flowing. But then I asked them what brought them to my club. Everyone agreed they would share their stories. Chad spoke first. I couldn't tell a girl about my feelings for a long time. And when I finally decided to send her a Valentine, she mercilessly tore it up. After that, I promised myself I would never celebrate Valentine's Day again. Barbara went next. She said that all the boys cared about was her looks and not her personality. I want my boyfriend to care about me. And I don't want to go on dates with people who think I'm an empty doll anymore. Well, Henry, what about you? My parents got a divorce. I don't believe in love anymore, and I'm sick of seeing hearts all over the city. Miss Anderson sighed and said her husband had left her on Valentine's Day a year ago. That's how we all became friends. At least now we could all be miserable together. We met up in the library a couple times a week, watched movies, ate sweets, and played board games. Even though talking about romance was forbidden, let me tell you a secret. I liked spending so much time with Henry. However, things at home were growing worse by the day. Kevin had lost it. He stopped studying and spent his days filming dumb videos in which he was making fun of me. I even saw him rummaging through my things. He was trying to find my diary and film himself reading it for a laugh. Ugh! I yelled at the little devil for that. You're so boring. That's probably why our parents are fighting all the time. Or maybe they're fighting because they don't know how to control you. What an idiot! In the evening, I heard my mom and dad talking about getting a divorce. It upset me so much that I spent the whole night crying. The next day, I went to school in a terrible mood. I was hoping that the anti-romantic club would help me get my mind off things, but Miss Anderson said that the library was booked for a parent-teacher meeting. It's a shame that's the only place where we could meet. I brought Twister and I was hoping to play with you guys. Mom and Dad were gonna be at the meeting, so I invited all the club members to my house. Everyone happily agreed. Miss Anderson would be working, but the rest of us played Twister in my living room. I was just hoping Kevin wouldn't embarrass me. Soon, Henry went to the kitchen to get a glass of water, and Chad suggested we get some fresh air. I was afraid to leave my obnoxious brother with my guests. Sorry, Chad. Some other time? Henry hadn't been back in a long time, so I went to look for him. After all, our house wasn't big enough to get lost in. I saw Henry by the stairs. He was talking to Kevin. When my brother saw me, he ran away. He seemed lost. Henry suddenly asked me if I was all right. You seem sad. Is something wrong? I told him about our family problems and said I was worried because my parents had been talking about getting a divorce. Oh, I know what that's like. I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm sure you can still fix everything. And you know what? Henry gave me an idea. After everyone had left, I started looking for a discount coupon to a cool restaurant in which my dad had proposed to my mom. Could you guess what I was up to? Yeah, I wanted to send my mom and dad there on Valentine's Day to revive their old feelings. Man, where's that freaking coupon? While rummaging around in the closet, I realized that my diary was nowhere to be found. I thought I must have hidden it from Kevin somewhere else. I couldn't remember where though. But then I finally found what I was looking for. Yay! I emptied my piggy bank, used the coupon, and booked my parents a table with the beautiful view of the city at the restaurant. Ta-da! Look what I've got. At first, my parents didn't want to go, but I promised I would look after Kevin and I said they should really spend some time together. Well, this is very sweet of you, Michelle. Thank you. I really hoped that my plan would work and my mom and dad would make up. The next day at school, I found out that the members of my club had decided to throw an anti-romantic party on Valentine's Day. You're coming, right, Michelle? I'm sorry, guys. I promised I would babysit my brother tonight. Oh, that's a shame. It won't be as fun without you. You know, it was a really weird day full of surprises. I found a bunch of Valentines in my locker, and someone had tied heart-shaped balloons to my desk. And when I touched them, they burst, and my favorite candy spilled out of them. In biology, my favorite song about a girl called Michelle started playing over the loudspeaker. Wow, it was so romantic. I had almost succumbed to the festive mood, but then I realized something was wrong. I had written in my secret diary about everything that was happening. Did someone read it and then decide to fulfill my dreams? But who could that be? And then I remembered that Henry had talked to Kevin. I called my brother and I asked him if he had anything to do with it. To be honest, Henry saw me stealing your diary. He took it away and scolded me. He's just as boring as you are. I couldn't believe it. Was it possible that the guy of my dreams was the one to thank for all these cute surprises? Soon, I heard Henry order a bouquet of 101 roses over the phone. It made me believe that he really had read my diary and actually might like me. That changed everything. Now, I absolutely had to go to the party for our anti-romantic club. But what was I gonna do about the little disaster called Kevin? And that was when I got a brilliant idea. I would just bring my brother to the school library with me. You want me to spend the evening with you and your boring friends? No, thanks. You're coming and that's that. Let's call a truce for one night. Mom and Dad need to enjoy their date. It could save our family, you know? You're older than me and you still believe in fairy tales. Okay, let's go. I had a feeling it was gonna be a fantastic evening. While everyone in the school was partying in the hall, our little club was hanging out in the library. Kevin kept whining that he was bored, but then I saw a huge gift box in the corner of the room. Was that where Henry was hiding all the roses? Wow. I kept waiting for him to give me the flowers and confess, but then the principal suddenly called Miss Anderson and asked her to come to his office. Don't cause any trouble, guys. I'll be back soon. After she left, Chad nodded at Henry and turned to me. Michelle, let's go to the chemistry classroom. I want to show you something. Well. Henry had probably asked Chad to distract me so he could bring out the roses. That was smart of him. So I pretended not to know about anything, and Chad and I left the library. In the chemistry classroom, Chad suddenly pulled a crumpled flower out of a drawer and nervously took my hands into his. I'm sorry, Michelle. I know you dreamed of 101 roses, but I spent all my money on the other surprises. I was so confused. What was he talking about? Hold on. That's when it dawned on me. Were you the one who fulfilled my dreams from the diary? Yes, Henry knew that I liked you for a long time. When he took the diary from your brother, he helped me figure out how I could impress you. Remember the time I sent a bunch of Valentines to myself and then tore them up after the truth came out? Well, it turned out one of them had been real, and Chad had been the one to send it. He thought that I had rejected him, and so he hid his feelings for a long time. But I didn't know. You could have told me. I felt like such a moron. I had decided I was done with romance, but then I'd started daydreaming about dating Henry as soon as I thought there was a chance he might like me. Chad made me feel like an idiot. So I got mad and I refused to go on a date with him. I knew I didn't stand a chance. At that moment, Kevin suddenly appeared in the doorway. He shook some keys in the air, smirking. Look what I stole from the security guard. You guys just sit here while I'm having fun. And then my brother locked us in. That little devil! I called Henry to ask for help and heard his ringtone. And then the ventilation gate crashed onto the floor and we saw Henry and Barbara. What was going on? Ugh! I'm covered in dust head to toe. We had to sit there and wait for someone to let us out. It turned out that my brother had first locked them in the library, and this was their escape attempt. Then I found out that Chad had led me away so Henry could confess his feelings to Barbara. That's who the roses were for. Can you believe it? What kind of anti-romantic club is this? Everyone's obsessed with relationships here. That's right! Henry, did you think you could win me over with flowers? You're just like all the other boys. Couldn't you give me a book or do something crazy romantic? I joined this club because I wanted to be closer to you, Barbara. Isn't that crazy enough? I didn't know how else to get you to notice me. We argued and argued until we suddenly heard the fire alarm go off. Oh no, was something at the school on fire? We looked at each other anxiously and started knocking on the door and calling for help. The door swung open and we saw a worried Miss Anderson and an angry security guard who was holding Kevin by the shoulder. My brother looked guilty and was sniffling. It turns out he was the one who turned on the alarm. But the security guard caught him and brought him to our teacher. Kevin there had confessed that he'd locked us all up, and the adults came to our rescue. What a frickin' day. It was the worst Valentine's Day I'd had yet. I angrily grabbed my brother's hand and I dragged him home. Barbara, Henry, and Chad also stormed out of the school without saying goodbye to each other. Kevin and I were fighting the whole way home. You are the worst brother in the world! And you're the worst sister ever! However, when we came home, we saw something unexpected. Our parents had come back from the restaurant and looked happier than ever. Michelle, Kevin, thank you for giving us such a wonderful gift. Mom and Dad had spent a great romantic evening together and remembered why they'd fallen in love with each other. It helped them to reconcile. Kevin and I were so excited that we even hugged. After all, he was just a kid that wanted to be noticed. I'm sorry it caused you so much trouble. At least it's never boring with you. Now, I knew our family was actually really strong. Even if we fought, we still loved each other. And the next day at school, I was surprised to find out that the security guard had asked Miss Anderson out on a date. They were so perfect for each other. Barbara decided she had overreacted and apologized to Henry for acting arrogant. You were right. I've been given a lot of flowers, but your gift stood out. To my surprise, I was happy for them, and I decided to apologize to Chad for being so rude to him. He was a great guy after all. We chatted, and I invited him to a concert on the weekend. I'll pick you up at 6. Our club of anti-romantics was closed because there were no more members left. Now, there's just a few more happy couples at our school. Tell me, do you like Valentine's Day?